All right, so Cody, obviously, fight news is out. We got a big fight coming up, but let's talk about first the last time out. I could see the frustration, man. I could see the frustration in your face, and I just wonder when you process that, are there lessons, or was that kind of like the grappling equivalent of like I just got caught and it happens sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a lesson, right? There's got to be a lesson when something like that happens. The lesson is don't rush things, right, in a fight. And I saw an opportunity. I knew like I had a game plan, and had I had stuck to it, I think it would have been a lot different. But yeah, the lesson I took from it was stick to the game plan and don't get caught in a choke in 40 seconds because it's about the most hopeless, embarrassing feeling I've ever felt in the cage.
Well, I appreciate you admitting that. I know it's tough out there, but you said it. And I've seen on social media you've been saying, "Hey, man, peaks and valleys," and this is a little bit of valley right now. But I wonder, I guess, does that wrestling mindset, does that help you deal with this? I mean, like wrestlers understand, like you can't win every time you go out there, right? I mean, does that make it easier, or is it still an MMA fight and it sucks to lose and I just absolutely hate it?
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible, right? Especially, that training camp might be the best training camp I've had to date. I've never felt better. I was so confident going into that fight. And there's just no doubt. Like, I mean, a lot of times, you're in the back and you're going from being like ready to go to being scared shitless. This moment's finally here. There's like all these emotions are happening at once. And in the back, I was just like a stone cold serial killer. I was ready to go. And I got in there and then it happened. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, it's over. Oh no, what did I just do? What just happened? So, I mean, no, I don't think there's anything that compare you for losing on this stage, and especially when things are going so well, right? I mean, you think if training camp's perfect, you think the fight is going to reflect that, and in reality, some of my best fights have been my worst training camps, injury, battling through all this stuff. It's almost like you need a little bit of adversity to like really be prepared, when you get in the cage.
Is that the hardest part you think of this sport to deal with? Is exactly that, right? Like all the preparation can be phenomenal and you cannot get the result, whereas vice versa, as you said, you can have a horrible training camp where you're like, this is a bad idea, and then you go out there and have an amazing win.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it. I'm friends with a lot of guys in the UFC. I live in Vegas. We talk about it all the time. It's like, there's so many fights that I watch that I'm like, I've trained with both guys, and I'm like, that guy is clearly he's better. He's better everywhere. Like he should win this fight, and then he loses, and you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And it's like not always the best guy that wins. It's like the best guy that day. It's like how do you culminate everything you've done in your athletic career and make it all happen on that night, And I feel like some guys just figure it out, you know what I mean? Guys get hot and they go on a streak and, for whatever reason, their confidence is through the roof and they're finding ways to win. And, they might not be the best guy in the room. They might go into a room like Extreme Couture and, get smoked by 3-4 people and then go out and, kick ass on Saturday night. And it's confusing, man. MMA is such a strange sport, where a single thing can go wrong and it's over.
Yeah. It's the only sport where like you can break down like every technical aspect of it offensively and defensively and then say, but oh, by the way, it's a fist fight. So really anything could happen.
I mean, you see guys getting knocked out with like crazy like club punches and you're like, how does that happen? Like some guy's super technical and he just gets smacked with a shot and you're like, oh my God. And you're like, what we do is insane. I mean, it's dangerous and it's absolutely insane. Like, and we are insane. Like, like what we do, like the fact that, we were talking about it the other day, like we're getting ready to spar and like we like knew that going into the sparring session, like there's going to be a nasty sparring session. Like we're going to really try to hurt each other. And we're like sitting there, I don't know, what we're talking about food or like we're debating like restaurants. And this is like seconds before we're about to fight each other. And then we like bump fists and it's a whole different thing. And like, we're slugging at each other. And then we go right back to like talking shit about spike ball or some random thing. Like, this isn't normal. Like we aren't normal. Like this isn't like normal people can't do this. Like what's wrong with us that like this has become like just a normal thing in our lives?
Pretty wild. Let me ask you something. As you've had to deal with these setbacks, I mean, I know you talked about the valleys and the frustration. Has it changed your passion for the sport? I mean, have like there been moments along the way where you're like, I don't know, what am I even doing this? Or does it just drive you to compete harder, I guess, or train harder?
I think I would be lying if I said, even it's easy to love something that when it's going exactly the way you want it to, right? It's like a relationship, your significant other's doing exactly what you want. She's helping you out. She's doing everything, it's like really easy to love someone at that point. But, when things aren't going good, it's a lot harder. And it has been hard to really, really love the sport. And I've definitely had to do some soul searching through this, this period in my career where I'm like, dude, what am I doing? Like, is this really something I want to do? And, I've thought about, there's other things I can do. I'm not a one trick pony. I have an education. There's other, career paths that I could take. But then in reality, I'm like, dude, I do love this shit. Like, I really do. I love it. Like I can't not do it. You know what I mean? Not when I've dedicated so much of my life, not when I really know what I'm capable of doing. It's like, there's no way, I almost walked away from fighting right before I got in the UFC. Like I was done. I was like, I'm 27 years old. It didn't happen. I'm done. And then I got in the UFC and now I'm here. And now I'm kind of in that same spot where I'm like, is this it? Like, can I do this? And then I go to the gym and I spar and I compete against guys, at the highest level. And I'm like, yes, I can do this. Like, where is this, the self-doubt coming from? Obviously things have happened, but the reality is, like, my goals haven't changed. Like, I still do believe that I can be the best in the world. I think that I could beat all the guys that have beaten me. And I think I could, go straight GSP on everybody and just tear through everybody. Like, I really do believe that. In my heart, I believe it. So it's like, I can't stop. That's not even an option for me.
I love it. Well, you get the next chance to prove it on June 18th against Eddie Wineland. A pioneer of the sport. If you want to throw the word the guy's been around forever. He's been doing it, a legend, a guy that's done it. What did you think when this was the name they gave to you?
Yeah, I was watching Eddie Wineland in high school. Eddie Wineland, he's got a big right hand. He always has, right? He's always been able to hit dudes with the right hand. Sometimes it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but he gets it done, and you fight a guy with that much experience, you got to know that this isn't, you can't take a guy like that lightly. You can't take Eddie Wineland and be like, well, Eddie Wineland got knocked out, so, 1 + 1 is 2. I'm going to knock Eddie Wineland out. Like, that's not how this works. You know what I mean? Like, this guy is still somebody that's fought at a high level for 10 plus years. He's a dangerous dude, but I think it's perfect. I thought it was a perfect matchup, and it wasn't even Eddie Wineland. I would have fought anyone because, I still knew that I could compete against, anybody in the world. And, it happens to be Eddie Wineland this time. And I can't make the mistakes that I made last time. I can't make the mistakes, can't make stupid mistakes, because Eddie Wineland can shut your lights off. But, I also think that I have the capacity to shut his lights off.
Well, I was going to say, it's interesting, right? Because obviously the striking that he brings to the table, I would think you might say, dude, we're not going to strike at all in this one. But maybe you got to have a little element of surprise as well and maybe change it up.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I do not like wrestling. I don't like wrestling in fights. I don't enjoy wrestling. I wrestled growing up. Like, I hate wrestling. You know what I mean? And I've been labeled as a wrestler. But I like boxing. I like kickboxing. It just happens. You know what I mean? Like, someone's standing right in front of me, and I'm like, well, shit, I'm kind of sick of getting punched in the face. I think I'm going to take this dude. It's just there. It just happens, Like, I don't ever, go into a fight thinking, like, oh, dude, I'm going to wrestle this dude from bell to bell. Like, I'm not going to let him up. I'm going to keep taking him down. It's going to be miserable for him. Like, I never really go into a fight thinking that. But it happens, Do I think I could take Eddie Wineland down? Yeah, I think I could take just about anyone in the division down. So if I have to, I will. But, in my mind, in an ideal world, like, I don't ever have to shoot in this fight, and we can just box it out. But, he's a strange dude. He hits hard. So maybe I'd put him on the spot a time or two.
That's interesting to hear you say that. Is the reason you don't like to wrestle just because you think fans don't enjoy that aspect of it? Or is it just because you like boxing so much? Like, it seems weird to me because you're really good at wrestling. I would think maybe you could be like, I could just wrestle everybody and maybe this, be easy.
No, I don't like fighting wrestlers. I don't like wrestling. It is just the path of least resistance to win. You know what I mean? Like, there's always, if in my head, if a round is back and forth and I feel like, we're kind of going for tit for tat, it's like, okay, it's time to set up a takedown and win the round. That's kind of just what goes through my head, like, during a fight. And then half the time, I don't think anything goes through my head. I think I just just, out of nature, I shoot it because that's what I've done, for 20 years. Like I've been wrestling a long time, like when just that, competition mode switches in, like I just wrestle. There's been fights when I didn't wrestle a single time, not one time, the entire fight camp, and I've gone out and shot a takedown like in the first 15 seconds. I'm like, where did that come from? Like, why did I even do that? I didn't shoot one time in 2 months, and then I just shot like right in the beginning of the round. I don't even know. It just comes out, but I don't enjoy doing it, and I don't like that I'm labeled as a wrestler. But if I think that it's a good thing because nobody wants to fight guys that can out wrestle them. No one, like, there's one thing, like everyone kind of believes that they have a chance on their feet, right? There's an opportunity there, but like when you fight someone that wrestles you, like that's kind of a scary thing. Like I know for me personally, like when I was getting ready for like Marab, it was like a different feeling. I'm like, I cannot get taken down and held down in this fight. Like there is no worse way to lose than to have a grown man on top of you beating your ass for 15 minutes. Like I would rather just go out there and get choked out. You know what I mean? Like that's less embarrassing for me. You know what I mean? Like just to be held down by another dude, like there's just no way that can't happen. So, I mean, I think wrestlers are the most feared people in MMA.
I agree. I think it's a great base to work from. So I guess how much of the preparation is just making sure that you don't get mesmerized by the mustache while you're out there, right? I mean, it's a pretty fine mustache, you got to admit.
I have a mustache drawn right in the bag so I can like not make eye contact. Yeah, I'm definitely working a lot. Doesn't he go out? Does he walk out to some Wild Wild West music too? Like some like Wyatt Earp? That's
yeah.
I think friends if we didn't have to kill each other in the cage. But I mean, what can I do? It's such a weird thing. Like I have so much respect for him. You know what I mean? I grew up watching him. I watched him probably in high school. And now like I gotta go fight him and like I can't look at him that way. I'm not one of those guys that can like shake your hand and be your friend and then like want to spend 2 months like figuring out the best way to hurt you. Like I kind of have to make people my enemy. You know what I mean? Like I want to see him as like a villain. And he's probably a really nice guy, but in my head, like he's like the worst guy in the world, and I got to kill him on June 18th.
So I guess the last thing I want to ask you, Cody. I mean, how are you thinking about this fight? I mean, as you said, the peaks and the valleys, and you've openly addressed it and embraced it. I mean, does this fight have some kind of extra meaning? Getting out of that valley, or is it's just the next fight, and I can't think about any of that other stuff?
I would say both. I mean, the mindful competitor in me is like, this is another fight. You've been at a million. Don't put any extra pressure on yourself. Like, this is what you do for a living. Like, you just got to go out and do your job, and you just be, religious in your preparation for this. Like, leave no stone unturned. And then, like, the reality is, like, it's do or die for me. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot lose again. I can't. You know what I mean? And I can't lose to Eddie Wineland. I can't lose to a guy that's been around as long as he has. So like I'm going back and forth between like, okay, you just got to go out and do your job, find a way to win. You know how to do that. And dude, like if I can't make it happen this time, like my career's over. Like I'm literally going back and forth in my head. Like that's how I'm thinking about it, because I think that's the reality. You know what I mean? Like that's it. That is the reality. Like I'm either going to propel forward and get back on track and climb back up the mountain, or I maybe get a different job. Like that's the reality in my mind. You know what I mean? So I have like all the pressure in the world on myself and none. So and I just keep going back and forth. If I need to put that pressure on myself to motivate me to do the extra work, I will. But when I'm not in the gym, I'm not thinking about it, and I'm just going on about my life.
I respect that, man. Incredibly honest, and probably a smart way to do it. All right, well, listen, I mean, we still got a little bit. We got about a month, but as you're thinking about it, Eddie Wineland, the dude's been in the game forever. So what kind of fight do we see here? I mean, is this something that you can go and maybe catch him early and get, or do you have to get yourself ready for 15 hard minutes of back and forth with a veteran?
I want to war with Eddie Wineland, to be honest. Like, I really would like to draw a line in the center and just have him and I fight in a phone booth and just figure it out. I think that's the kind of fight that I need to have, like for my psyche and for my career. just a drawn out nasty fight where, you know, like one of us hits a canvas, maybe doesn't get up. Like that's the kind of fight that I'm preparing for. That's the kind of sparring matches that I'm getting in the gym. Like I really do want to go in there and just let's test each other's chins and see who falls first. Like that's the kind of fight I'd like to have with Eddie Wineland.
Well, I have a feeling Eddie, if he hears you say that, is probably going to oblige and say that's the kind of fight that he wants too. So I look forward to it on the. I dig it. I love it. All right, Cody. We'll look forward to it on June 18th. I appreciate the time, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Of course. Thank you, man.